In the history of music, there is a number that strikes fear into the hearts of fans and artists alike. It isn't a sales figure or a chart position, it's an age. 27. Statistically, musicians shouldn't die at this specific age more than any other, but history tells a different, darker story. There is a terrifying pattern of legendary artists, generational talents, who changed the world, burning out and dying at exactly 27 years old. From the bluesman who allegedly sold his soul to the devil to the grunge icon found with a shotgun, the 27 Club is the most enduring and unsettling mystery in pop culture. Is it just a tragic coincidence? Or is there a curse on those who achieve too much too young? The story of the 27 Club doesn't begin in the 60s. It begins in a dusty crossroads in Mississippi in 1938 with Robert Johnson. He is considered the grandfather of rock and roll, the man who wrote the blueprint for the blues. The legend goes that Johnson was a terrible guitar player until he took his guitar to a crossroads at midnight. He met a dark figure, the devil, who tuned his guitar and handed it back. In exchange for his soul, Johnson became a master. He played like a man possessed for a few short years, recording haunting songs like Hellhound on My Trail, but the devil always collects his due. Johnson died under mysterious circumstances at the age of 27, allegedly poisoned by a jealous husband. He was the first member of the club, setting a precedent that fame comes with a fatal price tag. The curse lay dormant for decades until the late 1960s, when it returned with a vengeance. In a span of just 2 years, the biggest rock stars on the planet would all die at 27, creating the modern myth. It started with Brian Jones, the founder of the Rolling Stones. He was the golden boy, the multi-instrumentalist who gave the band its sound. But as his drug use spiraled, he was fired from the band he created. Less than a month later, in July 1969, he was found dead at the bottom of his swimming pool. The coroner ruled it death by misadventure, but whispers of murder and foul play have surrounded the case ever since, with many believing a contractor working on his house held him under. Just over a year later, the curse came for Jimi Hendrix. He is widely considered the greatest guitarist who ever lived, a man who could make an instrument speak. But on September 18, 1970, Jimi was in London, struggling with the pressures of fame and management issues. He took 9 sleeping pills, 18 times the recommended dose, and drank red wine. He asphyxiated in his sleep. The world was in shock. The man who seemed like he came from another planet was gone. He was 27. 16 days later. That is how close the next tragedy was. Janis Joplin was the queen of psychedelic soul, a woman with a voice that could tear the paint off the walls. But behind the power was a deep, aching loneliness. On October 4th, 1970, while recording her masterpiece album Pearl, she was found dead on the floor of her hotel room in Hollywood. The cause was a heroin overdose. The heroin she used was unusually potent, and several other users in the area died that same weekend, leading to theories of a hot batch or something more sinister. She was 27. Then, inevitably, came the Lizard King, Jim Morrison. The lead singer of The Doors was obsessed with death. He wrote about it, sang about it, and seemed to court it. On July 3rd, 1971, Jim was found dead in a bathtub in Paris. The official cause was heart failure, but no autopsy was ever performed because French law didn't require one. This lack of evidence has fueled 50 years of conspiracy theories. Did he fake his death? Was it a heroin overdose in a nightclub that was covered up? We will never know. But with his death, the big 3 of the 60s were gone. Morrison, Joplin, and Hendrix all died within 10 months of each other, all at the age of 27. While those names get all the headlines, there is a forgotten member of this era, Ron Pigpen McKernan. He was the founding member of the Grateful Dead and the soul of the band. Unlike his bandmates who experimented with psychedelics, Pigpen was a heavy drinker. While the world was mourning Hendrix and Joplin, Pigpen was quietly dying of a gastrointestinal hemorrhage caused by alcoholism in 1973. He was found dead in his home, alone at age 27. His death marked the end of the original Grateful Dead era, a tragedy often overshadowed by the louder deaths of his peers. Another tragic victim of the industry was Pete Ham, the leader of the band Badfinger. They were supposed to be the new Beatles signed to Apple Records. They wrote massive hits like Without You and Baby Blue, but their manager embezzled all their money, leaving the band broke and destitute. In 1975, crushed by the betrayal and unable to feed his family, Pete Ham hanged himself in his garage. He left a note that read, I will not be allowed to love and trust everybody. This is better. He was 27 years old. His death wasn't caused by drugs. It was caused by the cruelty of the music business. The legend went quiet for 2 decades until April 1994 when it claimed Kurt Cobain, the Nirvana frontman, had reluctantly become the voice of a generation, a title he hated. He struggled with chronic stomach pain and a severe heroin addiction. When he was found dead in his greenhouse in Seattle from a self-inflicted shotgun wound, the world stopped. But with Kurt came a new layer to the legend, the white lighter myth. An urban legend spread that Kurt, Jimmy, Janice, and Jim were all found with a white disposable Bic lighter in their pockets when they died. While fact-checkers have debunked this, the myth persists, adding a supernatural object to the tragedy. A year after Kurt's death, the curse took a stranger turn with Richie Edwards of the Manic Street Preachers. Richie was a brilliant, troubled lyricist who vanished on February 1st, 1995. His car was found abandoned near the Severn Bridge, a notorious suicide spot in the UK, but a body was never found. To this day, there have been reported sightings of him in India and the Canary Islands. He was declared legally dead in 2008, but the mystery remains. He disappeared at exactly age 27, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions. In the modern era, the club claimed Amy Winehouse. Her death in 2011 felt like a slow-motion car crash that the whole world watched but couldn't stop. She was a talent on par with Billie Holiday, but her battle with alcohol and drugs was tabloid fodder. 3 years before she died, her personal assistant confessed that Amy had expressed a fear of dying at 27. She knew about the club. On July 23, 2011, she was found dead in her London home from alcohol poisoning. Her blood alcohol content was more than 5 times the legal driving limit. It even extends beyond music. Anton Yelchin, the brilliant young actor who played Chekhov in the Star Trek reboot, died in a freak accident in 2016. He was pinned against a brick pillar by his own car, which had rolled down his steep driveway due to a gear shift malfunction. He was a rising star with the world at his feet, and he was taken in a split second. He was 27 years old. So why 27? Astrologers point to the Saturn Return. It takes the planet Saturn roughly 29.5 years to orbit the Sun. As it approaches the position it was in when you were born, usually starting around age 27, it creates a period of intense chaotic energy, forcing you to grow up or fall apart. For regular people, this is a midlife crisis. For rock stars living on the edge, it can be fatal. It is the age where the invincibility of youth fades, but the habits of addiction have set in. Whether it's planetary alignment, a deal with the devil, or just statistical noise, the number 27 remains a scar on the face of pop culture. Which of these losses hit you the hardest? Let me know in the comments.